the common thought, if you are a head coach and you've got a pretty good quarterback room, is that you let them battle through the spring and you say, we're going to let the competition play out into the summer. We want them competing every day. We might get to Texas A&M later. Jimbo Fisher said something like that. Every day going to be a competition, all right? We want them to be competing. We want them to be competing in the summertime and the fall and so on. But that's not what happened in Austin, because Steve Sarkisian, after the Texas spring game, announced that Quinn Ewers is the team's starting quarterback. He wins that battle with Arch Manning, obviously the 5-star true freshman, and also Malik Murphy, who was in the program last year. Now, we had gotten some buzz and he made some references here on the podcast that, look, we are going to continue to say that Arch Manning is in this as long as Steve Sarkisian is calling it an open competition. But we had also, and hinted at it a little bit, been given the impression that if you just looked at the practice reports available on 24/7 Sports, that Quinn was out with the 1s, Malik Murphy was out with the 2s, and that Arch Manning was running 3rd. And that does appear to be what we're looking at after a spring game where Ewers was very effective, where Malik Murphy looked really good, and Arch Manning looked like somebody who just showed up to college football 3 months ago. Like, you can find things that you like, but it seems, according to, like the people who are the closest to this, that it is undeniable we have a pecking order at that position. So what's the fallout? What's next? Is this a good sign that Quinn Ewers has gone out and taken the bull by the horns? Danny, where are you at on this one?
So I think, first of all, Sark has the luxury of being able to do this because of where Arch Manning is in his career. I think it's more about trying to put Quinn Ewers in the best position to succeed. I mean, it's a unique situation where he's got so much pressure on his shoulders. Sark is aware of the movement out there that is going to be campaigning to see Arch Manning, whether it's people that have paid money that have contributed, Texas Longhorn fans, people like us that want to see this story come to fruition. So I think he's trying to publicly back Quinn Ewers and say, this is your team. And I thought he was very refreshingly honest. He said, a lot of coaches won't do this because they don't want the other guys, or they're worried the other guys will stop competing. And he's like, I'm not worried about my guys. I want them to know they're still competing for something, talking about Murphy and Arch Manning. So I thought he was pretty honest about it, but I think it's more about, giving Quinn Ewers, which we all, it's his job to lose, right? I mean, he's got the experience. He played a whole season. He showed flashes of brilliance. So I thought it was more of an endorsement of him, which does silence the critics for an offseason. It's not going to silence him if he plays bad in Tuscaloosa September 9th. And Sark knows that. And I still think anything is on the table once the season starts. But I do think from the team perspective, it's what's best for the team going forward is to know who their leader is going to be this offseason. And I thought Ewers, his comments after the game, he was very humble. And I did not expect to hear that from him. He's got a new look. Like, he lost the mullet. He's like, hey, I let down the fans. Like, I think he's kind of realized what it takes, the pressure that's on him. And he's coming out there with the new attitude towards his role in this team and is working harder to earn that leadership. And I think Sark probably sees that and is rewarding that attitude.
I think it's a money year for Quinn Ewers. And just, if you look at him, he looks more jacked than he was last year, kind of more business-like approach. I really do think this kid was hurt last year at times. And kind of the things we hear behind the scenes at Texas are now kind of coming more public, right? Like, Sark was publicly saying it's a battle. Manning's in this thing, blah, blah, blah. Privately, we were hearing, no, he's going to redshirt. The plan is for Arch to redshirt. Like, this is not a battle, right? We had heard that Ewers played really well throughout spring, like in the scrimmages, practice to practice, that like he was playing at the level that they had hoped to get from him last year. So, that offense is absolutely loaded. Worthy caught the ball, which was great. A.D. Mitchell had a great one-handed grab, and I think is a nice addition. Remember, they get us Isaiah Nayor, who we were really excited about last year, the Wyoming stud who tore his ACL, I think in fall camp last year. A couple other nice pieces. Cedric Baxter's a dude at running back, and he may not even start. I generally trust Sark to call offense. So I think this thing is probably rolling, and Ewers looks like a dude.
I'm just going to say what we're all thinking. Texas is back.
Yep, that's it. Yeah.
Quinn Ewers is the best quarterback in the country. As I was saying months ago,
Tom was way ahead on this.
Months ago, way ahead of the curve. No, he looked really good. I mean, and you mentioned he does look like he's in better shape. He looks like he's thicker. He looks like he's gonna be able to take, like he broke his collarbone last year. He looks like you can't prevent injuries, but he looks at least like he's more capable of withstanding that kind of physical hits and not hurting himself. I know this is stupid, but I really do think cutting off the mullet is a big deal. I think it shows maturity. I think it shows that he's growing up. He understands it's just, and I think, if you look at quarterbacks, who was the last quarterback with long hair to win a big game? Who was the last quarterback to win a Super Bowl with long hair or a national title? It's like this. It's business time. Quinn Ewers realizes it's business time. He's approached it this offseason. He looked great in the spring game. I do think we'll have to see what that defense looks like still. But I think offensively, they're going to be a really fun team to watch. And I think that the other thing too, if Malik Murphy sticks around, they've got depth at the quarterback position because Murphy looked really good in the spring game himself. Yeah. So this is a situation.
That's the big if to me, because Arch is going to stay. He's not going anywhere. He just arrived. Murphy's been there for a year. He sees Arch Manning waiting in the wings. And I know he probably feels he's better than Arch, right? And if they watch the game tape, you'd say, oh, he looked better in the spring game, but you just have to know how this works. And we're talking about teams that need quarterbacks. I'm sure Malik Murphy would find some suitors out there that would step up right now and, come after him. So I think that to me is the really interesting one. You mentioned about Quinn Ewers. I think he's been humbled, which is a good thing. The sport will humble you, whether it's in college, whether it's in the NFL, you'll get humbled. And how do you respond to it? Some guys don't respond well. It appears now like Quinn Ewers is doing and saying all the right things that shows he's got this renewed focus and, hey, I got to earn, my keep, and I can't just show up and be Quinn Ewers, this stud from high school. So, and I think Bud's pointed out a bunch. He did not play much high school football, so he's still learning a tremendous amount. He's incredibly, the physical talent is there, but he still needs developed. I think, he could be a big year for him. Again, I'm going to still look at this and say September 9th in Tuscaloosa. Let's see what the returns are. Not saying he has to win that game, but that to me is the game that kind of Texas and Quinn Ewers' fate will be decided. If he plays,
he's tear that team apart.
Okay, what's that?
He's going to tear him apart. Texas money line. Bet it right.
He was tearing him apart last year.
Texas money line.
I think Texas is going to win that game.
Yeah. They're only 7.5 point underdog. I thought it would be higher than that.
I mean, look, with Murphy, he was a top 200 kid for us, right? A guy with really big physical tools. He broke his leg last year, so didn't get to play. I really trust Mike Roach, and he sees his guys a lot, and he saw Murphy quite a bit. He's at our Texas site, and I think he does a nice job. And he's like, dude, Malik Murphy is a dude, just needs to actually get healthy and get a chance. If you're Texas, Murphy threw absolute dimes in this game, and one of them was probably the best throw he threw was dropped. Are you happy that he played that well in the spring? Because I think there's a lot of teams Malik Murphy would go out and start for right now across the country.
I think you pony up, you match an offer. You are Texas. And
if you did it with Worthy, they should do it with Murphy.
Quinn Ewers' injury history is enough.
Yeah.
If you really believe you've got a chance to go out and win the Big 12 and compete for a college football playoff, don't put it on, somebody who had one injury that got you knocked out of a game. That's Quinn Ewers. Another injury that kind of made a hand issue that made the accuracy look a little bit funny for a game or two. You don't want to lose the potential of being able to have someone who you trust to come in and go win a game.
Is he going to stay though?
I don't know.
Because we were just talking about it. I don't know if Malik Murphy's in a situation where he was like, if I don't win this job, I'm entering the portal. That's not but I think that as we were talking at the top of the show, if a team needs a quarterback like Florida just got its new NIL collective. What if Florida just comes around and says, hey,
we'll give you 13 mil.
That's what I'm saying. We'll give you a whole bunch of money. I don't know. It's an interesting. I think it's important that he stays. I think if he does stay, Texas is in very good shape. If he doesn't, I think they're probably still in pretty good shape. But this is what it is. It's the kid might not be planning to transfer, but in this day and age, it takes one phone call to change your mind.
So on the Arch piece of this, because I've started to change my phrasing here, and it was from recent history. We can call it a redshirt year. I'm just calling it a developmental year, because that's what we're seeing with a lot of these 5-star quarterbacks, is that they do play, but maybe not enough for it to trip the eligibility. And also, a 5-star quarterback, you might be in the NFL 3 years after high school anyway. Like, whatever, your eligibility is, it's not like you're trying to maximize this out and be in college for 5 years. And I think that CJ Stroud had a developmental year, and Bryce Young had a developmental year. Bryce Young played in 9 games during his freshman season, but it was almost all mop-up duty. But that helped him get ready, going through the process of preparing each week, going out there on game day, at least with the idea that you're going to be thrust out there. And who was the offensive coordinator for Bryce Young's freshman season? It was Steve Sarkisian, right? Okay. Yeah. And that seemed to work out pretty well. And so, like, was the mentality that Arch is always going to redshirt? That might be a good way to explain it. I think the mentality is like, we're going to put him through a process that seems to be working with other similar 5-star quarterbacks. Even Quinn Ewers didn't play his first year in a college program. Like this, the idea of this sort of developmental year, I think, is something that can really benefit Arch, as well as benefit Texas down the line.
But where does that leave Malik Murphy again?
Stays. You're Texas, you pony up, you match an offer, and you keep your team.
All you have to do is convince him one more year, too.
Yeah.
Stay one more year, see what we'll match whatever offer, let it be a 1-year deal, and then if you're not happy, then you can leave. That's what I would be trying to sell him.
But devil's advocate, I'm Auburn, or I'm Florida, or I'm another school we haven't discussed who hasn't, who's in the market for a QB. Okay, yeah, that sounds great. If you want to stay at Texas for another year, that's cool. By the way, do you think you're going to beat Arch Manning for the job next season, or do you think Arch Manning is in line? So do you want to stick around another year so you could be the QB2 on next season too, or do you want to come here, get paid the same, or maybe even a little more, and you can get a crack at starting right away? So it's like, we don't know what he's going to do. I'm not saying he's doing one thing or the other. It's just, you can't sit here and say with any certainty that he's staying or he's going. It could go either direction.
Right.
And if your ultimate dream is to be a top 10 pick in the NFL draft and you want to get there sooner rather than later,
you ain't doing it developing on the bench. Yeah.
It doesn't matter if you get 2 or 3 million or whatever the number is from Texas. You want to play.
But are you doing it at Florida? No, I'm just kidding.
Where Anthony Richardson just played, didn't play
Anthony
great.
Richardson might be the number 1 pick in the draft. What are you talking about?